You probably don't need that part. The loan amortization schedule is what we just looked at. It's a document showing important information about where your money is going every month. I have a paper copy too I can pass around if you guys want to see like what one would look like for all of the payments. But again, it's very, very long because of how many months and how many years you're doing this process. Now, you can add some of the formulas from today onto your formula sheet if you desire to. I suggest it. So you're going to see below steps to create an amortization schedule. If you'd like to add those steps to your formula sheet, you are welcome to do so, because then that will help you when you get to your quiz on Monday to remind you how to do the amortization schedule. Okay? So the steps are right at the top. I have them right here because I can't fit everything on the board in one screen. But we're actually only going to do 2 rows, not even 3 today. So we'll do 2 rows of the amortization schedule. So the steps tell us to begin with payment 1. Now, when you calculate the interest for just 1 month, you do use I equals PRT. Why? Because we're just calculating it for 1 month at a time. Now, one thing to add probably to the directions is that T has to be in years, but it's only 1 month of time. So this is 1 month, which means if it's in terms of years, that's 1/12. So T is going to be 1/12 because we're talking about 1 month's time. And then these are the 2 formulas you may want to add to your formula sheet. That the principal payment, which is the second row, is found by taking the monthly payment and subtracting your interest payment. And the balance of the loan is equal to the principal balance minus the principal payment. So one thing to notice is that the interest payment and the principal payment, these 2 columns have to add back up to your monthly payment, which is $1,506. So all we're doing is showing you where your money is going. When you pay this every month, where is it going? How much of it is going towards interest? How much of it is going towards principal? And then together those will add back up to get you your monthly payment. All right, so to start out, I just split this up into 2 columns, payment 1 and payment 2. Okay, and I also broke it up into my 3 titles of the values in my chart. So I have interest, principal payment, which I usually abbreviate PP, and balance of the loan, I usually abbreviate BL, if you want to for short. But you want to have 3 different pieces because we have 3 numbers that we have to calculate. All right, so for interest, it tells us calculate the interest using I equals PRT. So that's what we're going to do. P, the principal, would be the amount of the mortgage for month 1, $200,000, times the interest rate, 0.08, and then this is the important part to notice, time is always 1/12 because these are always calculated monthly. And we'll multiply that together to get $1,333.33. Now when you do this on the computer, the table I just showed you on the internet, it usually doesn't give you cents, but we are going to do dollars and cents, so we'll do to the hundredths place. So that can go ahead in interest payment number 1 in your table. Now the principal payment, to figure out how much money is going to principal, remember these 2 numbers have to add up to $1,506. So all you have to do is take the monthly payment and subtract the interest. So the monthly payment was given to us up here, $1,506, and we're subtracting what we just calculated as the interest. Again, we're figuring out how our money is dividing up. Where's it going? We should get $172.67, which will go in our second box. Right when I shut it. Right when I shut it. All right, now to figure out the balance of the loan, remember principal payment means this is actually going towards paying off your house. This is going to the bank for letting you borrow the money. Thank you, bank. letting me borrow my money. Here's what you're actually taking away from your mortgage. So unfortunately, even though you pay this every month, only this amount is getting subtracted from your loan. It stinks, especially at the beginning. So to find the balance of the loan, we'll take the principal balance, which at the time of month 1 is $200,000, and we will subtract the principal payment, which is $172.67. And then we'll get $199,000. Now to do payments 2 and 3, you just repeat that process. But you'll use the new balance. This will be now your P. So when you do this process, instead of using $200,000, you're going to use the new balance of the loan, because the balance, you're only going to pay interest on this amount that's left. So I'll give everyone a minute to get caught up. So now we're going to do all those things again. So again, create your 3 little titles: interest, principal payment, balance of the loan. Start out with your I equals PRT, but again, this is now your P for the next column. And if we were to do a third column, the answer we get here would be used as P for column 3. So you keep using your answer for the balance of the loan in your new calculations. So we're going to do P times R times T. Again, the principal is now the answer we got from part 1. The rate stays 8%, and as I said, T will always be 1/12 because you're doing this monthly. And you can put that in your chart. How do I calculate the principal payment again? How do I find this number once I found my interest? Gotta take your payment and subtract the interest to see how much is actually going to principal. So 1506 minus our 13,032.18. Now for balance of the loan, you're not going to subtract this from 200,000 this time. You're going to subtract it from the previous balance of the loan, because this is how much you're taking away from that total to find out your new balance. So you'll take the 199 and subtract your 173 to get this. Now, if we were to do a row 3, because I think your homework does have you do a third row, you only have 2 questions for homework, but I think it may ask for a third row. This would be your new P, and you would calculate it using I equals PRT, subtract, and then you would subtract this from this to get this. So again, you probably want to add those formulas for interest, PRT, T is always 1/12. Principal payment is your monthly payment minus the interest payment, and balance of your loan is the balance of the loan minus the principal payment. So you can add those to your formula sheet so that when you get to your quiz, you don't have to necessarily remember how to do it. You can just follow along with the steps. Okay, let's try one more. All right, so this one they tell us we have an interest rate of 9.5%. The amount of the mortgage, you don't have to calculate down payment or anything. This is how much money you're borrowing, it's $130,000. This one's only 15 years, but that's really irrelevant. I should tell you that. That's not going to come up in your calculations. That's just going to tell you how many total payments you have. You're going to have 180 payments, but this is the important thing, and this is the important thing. So we'll start with our interest. I equals PRT using the amount of the mortgage to start. So that'll be 130,000 times our rate as a decimal, 0.095. And just remember to not plug in 15. Okay, you're not calculating your interest for all 15 years. You're calculating your interest for 1 month's time. The month of April, for example, the month of May. So it's always going to be 1/12 in the amortization schedule. Now we need to calculate our principal payments. So our principal payment, remember that these two columns have to add up to our monthly payment, which is $1,357.50. So all we do now is we subtract this minus this to get me how much is going towards principal. And then last, for the balance of the loan, this much is going towards principal, so we take it away from how much the mortgage is for, the amount of the mortgage minus our principal payment, to see how much left we have to pay on our home. And something I should have mentioned, you'll notice that the numbers stay really close together, right? But you should notice that the interest amount is going to decrease with each row. The principal amount is going to slightly increase with each row. And the balance of the loan, of course, is decreasing throughout. So if you do this and you get some drastically different number than what was in the chart, and you're for row 1, you know you've done something wrong. Okay, do the same thing for payment 2. Except that, remember, this is now your P. This is your P for row 2. So we're going to take this times our rate times our time. It would be a lot easier if we just didn't include cents, but I do. So again, if you were to get something like bigger than the last one, you know you did something wrong. So always use your eye to judge that, yes, the interest is decreasing ever so slightly, but the principal should be increasing. How much is going towards principal should be increasing. So now we'll take our payment minus the interest to see how much is going towards principal. And the balance of the loan, make sure you do not subtract from the original. It's always subtracting from the ending balance from your last line. So it'll be this amount, subtracting this amount to get this amount. So each row leads you to the next row as you go through this document. The most you'll ever have to create is 3 rows, but an actual document would have a lot more than that. 360. So your homework is just 2 of the charts. I will warn you that on the homework, it doesn't tell you your monthly payment. So you're going to have to calculate the monthly payment using the PMT formula. So that will be your first step on your homework. It'll ask you to calculate this, just like we did in the bell ringer using our formula, and then you'll construct 3 rows of your table. You'll probably want to draw a little chart, like that. And then I'll leave this up for those of you still copying.